Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and Alyx King here. Today is Wednesday, March the 27th, 2019. It is 8 a.m. in New York. It's 5 a.m. in Los Angeles. It's 12 noon in London. Sydney, Australia, you're at about 11 p.m. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And Alyx and I have been talking for some time about doing the show with just the two of us. Somehow I've always had her hooked in with a third co-host, but she convinced me that just the two of us are all we need. So, okay, we're going to do it with just the two of us. As I think I mentioned last week, Kelly Pretty said she had other things she needed to do, so that's what kind of was the impetus behind this. But hey, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And Alyx has promised me. She promised me before we started doing the podcast, she will always make me laugh. So I'm going to hold her to that promise.
That is never a problem.
Never a problem? Oh, good. Okay. And on those occasions where you're not able to make me laugh, I'll make you laugh. So we'll cover one way or another. Okay?
All right. Okay. So it's covered.
It's fair. It's a fair deal. And now, we hadn't really talked before the show about what we want to talk about during the show. Yesterday afternoon, we kind of talked about, well, do we want to do something with the fiction podcast we're doing, or do we want to just do a regular thing? So I don't really know. I hadn't really thought about it myself. Have you? Have you given it any consideration one way or another?
Yes, I have. I think we should do a regular podcast, a regular Q&A, but okay. I think we should focus on mental health today.
Mental health. Oh, you did say something about mental health. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm. You did. Okay. So, all right, mental health it is. That's the topic for the day. And if anyone is listening to the live stream, and I actually see a couple of people filtering in, feel free to contribute to the conversation on mental health. And Stephanie left a note, have written a personal message. Oh, okay. Well, we'll look for that. And I don't see a PM coming through, but when it comes through, I'll definitely read that. So, mental health. What made you think about mental health? I mean, did that have to do with what Bill G was trying to help with yesterday, with the insomnia issue, or is it something beyond that? What made you think of mental health?
No, it's just a theme that's I notice has been coming around a lot lately in my life. Like it's a subject that's been coming up more and more. So with, other family members and with myself, obviously, because, I go through it, and, just different friends are going through things. So I decided, it needs to be talked about today.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you decided to talk about mental health instead of mental illness, because that's what a lot of people would go to. You went to the positive side. So that was a good thing. You got the show off to a good start. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. So, okay, mental health. Well, it's a wide-ranging topic. Lots of areas we can go with it. We can go humorous. We can go serious. We can go really deadly serious, because there are a lot of people who have some pretty serious mental issues going on. How in depth do you want to go? I mean, you tell. It's your topic. Where do you want to go with it? Tell me.
Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's dig as far as we can dig.
Okay. So let's see. Well, is there a particular one? You said that some of this is drawn from your own experience with your own family and stuff you're going through. Is there anything particular you want to bring up that has been, a recent issue, something like that? We can kind of tear it apart and figure out what the law of attraction angle is and all that.
I want to start with anxiety, I think, because that's the most common.
Okay.
And there's different degrees and different styles of anxiety, where you go from just being nervous from doing something or getting anxiety from being stressed, all the way to the extreme in my situation where you're actually housebound and agoraphobic. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, wouldn't that be stressful though? I mean, it's not like being agoraphobic doesn't have stress, right?
Only when I go out.
This is true. That is the nature of it. Perhaps I should have been more clear about that. I have this mental image of Alyx and her mother or somebody going out the door, and the moment she walks out the door, it's like her eyes become bug-eyed, like, oh my God, I'm outside!
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly
really what happens.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I thought I was just making it funny. That really is true then.
No, it really is true. And I start to freak out and I'm like, I gotta calm myself down. And that's why I have my dog and my mom and my sunglasses. I have to wear sunglasses because they act as blinders. So it's kind of like I'm sheltered from the world in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie, Big Daddy with, Adam Sandler.
I haven't seen that one, but okay, tell me.
Well, he ends up adopting a kid and the kid's really, really shy. And so Adam Sandler decides to come up with this idea where if you put sunglasses on, people can't see you, so you don't have to be as shy. You can act like yourself. So that's kind of where that idea comes from. And it works for me, until I run into a situation where people are like, oh my God, your dog's so cute. Can I pet him? Can I say hi? They don't know the service dog rule. So it engages in conversation and I don't like to people. So yeah.
I just think it's cool that you came up with a solution that a 2-year-old came up with. You can't see me.
Exactly. If I can't see you, you can't see me.
I love that. That's great. If it works, it works. That's all that really matters anyway. But, Of course, anytime we're talking about a mental health issue, the first thought that goes into the minds of most people, I think, is, well, there's usually something down deep. And I'm sure you've done a lot of digging. I mean, you have a therapist you work with. You've dug into this stuff a lot. Have you ever found any clues? I mean, I know you haven't solved it, because if you had, you wouldn't have this problem walking outside. But have you ever found any clues what's going on inside?
Some will say it's partially genetic because my father is bipolar, but I'm not bipolar, so, but there is mental health issues there. So
sure,
that genetics plays a part. I'm also autistic but there's no one else in my family that's autistic. So I don't know. Okay.
So basically we have little to no data. Well,
right. Yeah.
That means
all my doctors will tell you I'm a very tough case. They haven't figured it out yet.
Well, according to Bill yesterday, you had something really, really deep going on, some sort of an evil spirit thing buried deep into your psyche or something like that.
Maybe that's what it is.
We'll have to get the Witchfinder General to pull it out. Like, okay, you evil spirit, come out of there where you are hiding in those deep dark shadows.
Witchfinder General.
Isn't that what they're called anymore? I don't know.
I don't know.
But
oh man.
You got me thinking about that. I mean, I just kind of whipped that one out. It didn't even occur to me what I had said. It's like, yeah, that's pretty silly.
That's good old Walt. Doesn't really think about what he says. It's okay.
It's true. You never know what's coming out of my mouth. I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. That's what makes it fun, actually. Hello, Shelley. Shelley's saying good morning. Yeah, I mean,
Hi,
anxiety does come in a lot of different flavors, doesn't it? And
it does, yeah. Flavors, I like that. Mm-hmm.
I got to ask you this, because this is a key point that Abraham likes to make. Everything that is going on, we focused on and somehow to bring it about. And it seems like, well, why would anyone want to focus on anxiety? Why would anyone focus on, being unhappy going outside and being freaked out and so forth? Nobody would really want to focus on that. But then again, nobody really wants to focus on getting sick or on, having an accident or something like that. That's not the way it tends to work anyway. So it means something else was going on in your thought process, something we may never even figure out. But there was something that had like a negative spin to it, something that, had that negative vortex feel to it. And it led you down, you used the word rabbit hole, that was a good word for it. It led you down this rabbit hole of being stuck on this anxiety thing that's going on. Mm-hmm. Well, if that's the case, I mean, Abraham's solution is change the focus to what you want instead. I presume you have tried that, at least to some extent, focusing on what you want instead.
A little bit.
and what kinds of results have you had?
It actually, it's law of attraction. So when you concentrate on not having a panic attack, you end up having a panic attack. because you're like, all right, I don't want to have a panic attack. I don't want to panic about, and then you start thinking about the things that you don't want to panic about, and then you start panicking about the things that you don't want to panic about. So it's a catch-22.
It's almost like you have to find a way to express it in the positive, because having a panic attack, not having a panic attack, is expressing in the negative what it is that you want. Or more precisely, what you don't want, and saying, "I don't want that thing that I really dislike so much."
Yeah, exactly.
So, I guess have you tried spending any time focusing on going outside and enjoying it? Going outside and feeling calm, going outside and all that kind of thing.
I do that when I have company over. I try to be in the moment and try not to let my anxiety affect the good time that we're having. So if my brother comes and he wants to go take pictures at the beach, and I'm like, all right, we can do this. It's only 5 minutes down the street. We can spend 5 minutes taking pictures and then we'll come right back. It'll be fine. And also it helps to have people in your life who you have a support system. So people that are understanding. And my brother knows when I say we got to go home, we got to go home.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's certainly important, because when you're trying to get your mind wrapped around a new way of thinking, it takes a lot of effort initially. After a while, if you stick with it, it gets easier and easier and easier. But those first few tries are it's like trying to push a boulder or something. I mean, it's just this massive thing that you're trying to go against. Yeah.
Those first few baby steps are, it's like actually taking baby steps. It's hard.
Yeah, right. Hard. If you're lucky, you take a baby step. If you're not lucky, nothing moves. It just stays right there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to keep crawling for a while. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, even the way you express it, though, it still made me think, have you actually focused on feeling joyful outside, feeling relaxed outside?
No, not yet.
That might be worth trying,
I'm writing it down.
Because if you can spend, just kind of like visualizing it, I don't know what your method of visualization is that you prefer, but whatever your method is, just spend some time really focusing on enjoying being outside, feeling relaxed outside, feeling good outside, and then building the emotion associated with that. And see what happens. The worst that happens is you go outside and you say, nope, not happening, I'm going back indoors.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe it'll help you, maybe you can sustain yourself outside for a longer period of time doing something like that. Or, who knows what the result's going to be.
My therapist and I are working on is again, with the baby steps is, okay, go out to your mailbox and come back, and go down to the end of your walkway and come back, and go to the corner of your street and come back, and, take baby steps like that. And then I'm like, okay. Not too excited about it, but
I can tell. Yeah, you're just like, oh yeah, here we go. I'm ready. I can just see it. It's all over your face. But this might be a good time to do the pre-paving. He wants you to go out, or is it he or she?
Well, I'm in between right now, but the last one was a she.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll go with she for now. So she wants you to go down to the mailbox, right? So when you go before you even go to the mailbox, spend the time going through the process. Okay, I'm going to go out to the mailbox, and when I go out, it's going to be beautiful weather, and I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel so relaxed. What does it feel like to feel relaxed? Feel that relaxation inside, and try feeling what's the good feeling of being outside. Can you remember that good feeling of being outside, or has it been so long that it's just hard to remember it?
It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, maybe you kind of create a bridge to it, because you already know that you feel good inside. So work on, okay, how do I feel when I'm inside? Get into that good feeling place, which shouldn't be hard because you're inside when you're doing this.
Right.
So you get into that good feeling place and then say to yourself, this is the way I feel outside, once you've built the feeling up. So you can actually feel it inside. And as you're feeling it, say, this is the way I feel outside. So as I go outside, this is the way I'm going to feel, and just keep building that up. That's what I did with my knees last year. Remember, I had my injured ligaments last year,
Right.
And that's literally what I did. I found a position where one of the knees could be relaxed enough that it wasn't hurting, and then said to myself, this is the way that knee always feels. And as for the knee that's hurting right now, this is the way that other knee feels also, which took some effort, because, I mean, the other knee was definitely still hurting, so I had to really, really focus to do this, but I was able to get it there for a split second even, and even a split second's improvement. That's a baby step.
That's a baby step. Yep.
Yeah. So try that. See what that does. Maybe that actually will, if you can pre-pave it, because that's something Abraham goes on and on about. Abraham Hicks waxes eloquent about the value of pre-paving, or as they call it, segment intending, where you just get yourself into that good feeling place before you try to do whatever the task is. And in so doing, you make that task more interesting, more enjoyable, easier to do, just because you pre-paved it. In fact, maybe do it after a podcast where you're feeling really, happy. You know how we feel good after a podcast? Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pre-paving is a good way to do it. Shelley made a suggestion. She says, find a focus outside. Look for as many birds or flowers as you can. It's an idea.
Yeah, I tried to do that. I'm very good with, especially when we have to go over the bridge, because, I live on the Cape. So over the bridge is a big thing for me because I hate bridges, I hate heights, and I hate being outside. So all of those things come into play when I have to leave the Cape. But I've become really good at the license plate game. But I play it in my own way. So it's more of, okay, who can find the furthest state away from us first? Yeah. And I know thanks to Asperger's, I have all the state license plates memorized. So
plates
just
themselves?
by the color,
whoa.
Yes, just because of the colors, I already know what state it is without reading what it is.
Very cool. I can sometimes do that, but I get confused on some. Some where the states have similar colors. It's like, wait a minute, is that Pennsylvania? What is that? Is that an old New York State plate? I don't know what that is.
Yes, they do change throughout the years. That does get confusing. So
that's true. Yeah. You have to be on top of your license plate game in order to get that one right. Do you study?
And I also like to read and try to figure out people's personalized license plates.
Oh yeah,
that's always fun.
Yeah. It's funny. Over the years, the personalized plates have gotten fairly straightforward. They're pretty easy to read. But my favorite one was one that was really hard to understand. And it was actually the very first one I ever saw. I'd never heard of a vanity plate before. And I saw it, this is 40 years ago, something like that. But I saw the vanity plate and I realized it was not a normal plate because it didn't have the normal pattern, 3 letters, 3 numbers, that kind of thing. It had this weird combination of letters and numbers. I was saying, what the heck is that? And I puzzled it out and finally it hit me oh my God, that's what that means? It was, you want to try to figure it out?
Okay, yeah, tell me. Hold on, let me write it down and then I'll figure it out.
Okay, it's 1, 0, N is in Nancy. Let's see, I got it right. Gotta get right. No, I'm sorry. 10S as in Samuel. Got it wrong. 10S as in Samuel. N is in Nancy. E is in Edward. And the number 1. So 10SNE1. Can you get that one? It's a real stumper. This is what happened when I first saw it. It's like, what on earth is that? What does it mean? What could why?
I think the last part is anyone.
It is.
I don't see anyone?
Not quite. Instead of saying 10, make it a combined number. What's the number? What's 10? Say that
10
number.
10S.
Say it faster.
10S anyone? Oh, tennis anyone!
Isn't that great?
I love it. Yeah. And see the joy you get from figuring it out. That's
exactly.
That's the feeling I look for. Yeah.
Exactly. I remember, I'll never forget that was the first vanity plate I ever saw, and I must have puzzled on that one for 20 minutes trying to figure out what on earth is that all about?
It makes your ride go faster when you're sitting there.
It does, yes.
Out, what does that mean?
And then it finally occurred to me, I almost drove off the road. I was just so knocked over by it. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, that's
so,
a good
okay.
one. Tennis, anyone.
So license plate games. Okay, you like that. That's a good way to focus on what you want instead of on what you don't want. It doesn't quite get you into the mood for enjoying the outdoors, but at least it does distract you. So that's a good thing.
Yes, distraction is a main thing that works for me and my anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, if you're distracted, then you aren't focusing on the thing you don't want. So,
exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Shelley asked about focusing on birds and flowers. Do you ever try to count those up or identify those or anything?
No. I count dogs when I'm like riding around the town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, definitely in Hyannis, there's a lot of people walking their dogs, no matter what the temperature. So yes, I like to count up the dogs and say, and the dogs riding in the cars, and I'm like, oh, puppies! So I like to count up how many dogs I see throughout my trip.
You want to see how many of the cars have pointers with the snout sticking out the window and the tongue hanging out, flying in the wind, right?
You don't usually see that. You usually see the puppies that are actually sitting in the driver's seat and trying to drive. Yeah.
Remind me not to spend a lot of time driving in Hyannis.
Yeah, they're bold out here. We drive with our dogs on our laps. I used to, but now my dogs have their own car seats, so I don't anymore.
Mm-hmm. My, how times have changed. Dogs with their own car seats. I never would have thought of such a thing.
Amazon sells everything.
Apparently, yes. Well, that's why they're Amazon, you know?
Yep.
If you can conceive it, and it has been in existence somewhere in the world in the last 20 years, it's available on Amazon. That's all there is to it.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And then we're doing a lot of laughter, humor. What role does humor play in what you're trying to do with your baby steps? I mean, because that's
laughter is the best medicine. So whenever I feel down or get overwhelmed, I like to switch on the old Netflix and pick out a comedy special to, you know, take my mind off of things for an hour and let me laugh about some things.
That's good. That's good. Now, are you able to use laughter when you're outside?
It's a little harder.
I would think.
I need to feed off of something. So someone has to say something and then I'll get rolling.
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? It's learning how to be in our uncomfortable zone as opposed to our comfort zone and be in our happy, funny mood anyway. Yeah.
I get a little snarky and I'll like start judging people that I see walking by.
Oh, like what? Give us an example.
Okay, let's say it's the middle of winter and I'll be like, sir, your shorts are way too short for this temperature.
Yes, right. More precisely, why are you wearing shorts at all in this temperature?
Yeah.
Yes. There are some people I wonder about. I mean, it was one of the things we saw a lot when we lived in Virginia. We lived in a little town called Warrenton. And you could go to downtown Warrenton, which was about 3 blocks long, and you would see the teens hanging out by the storefronts or by the Episcopal church or whatever, and they were dressed. This is like, you know, in the middle of winter, which would, in that area would be like 30 degrees, 20 degrees, something like that, and they're dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, and like you've got to be kidding me. Right? I mean, is it you're trying to make yourself sick so you don't have to go to school? Is that what this is all about? I don't understand. Yeah. Holy cow.
No, they were using law of attraction and trying to visualize summer. That's what they were doing.
Shelley says that her husband is a year-round shorts guy. Okay, well.
Oh, he's one of those.
He's your problem, not mine. I'm not dealing with that. Sorry.
No offense, but I've noticed it's mostly white people. I'm just saying.
You're not going to just get a disagreement out of me. I don't think I've ever seen a black person like that. So,
No, we wear pants at appropriate times.
They just don't always wear them appropriately. But other than that,
Facts. That is a fact. That is a fact.
Shelley actually has a question for you. She says, what do you fear about going outside?
Couple of things. It's like reverse claustrophobia. So it's like, I get really overwhelmed when there's not like a tight quarters around me. So if I'm not in my bubble, I don't know what to do and I get overwhelmed. And there's that. There's also the fact that I could have a panic attack while I'm in public. I could have a seizure while I'm in public. So the fear of embarrassment is also a factor into my situation. So,
but correct me if I'm wrong. If you're in the middle of a panic attack, the last thing you're thinking about is I'm so embarrassed. It's more like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
No, that's the last thing you're thinking. But before you go out, that's what you're thinking. You're like, oh my God, everyone's going to see me. They're going to call the ambulance. It's going to be a big to-do. It's a lot.
So it's the anticipation then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that anticipation will get you every time. That's the stuff.
And dwelling on the anticipation.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, that's the whole point, right? I mean, what's the point of freaking yourself out if you don't spend a lot of time on it? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a sad thing, but...
It's true, though. It's true.
But go back to the first part, because you said it's the reverse of claustrophobia. It's being outside and there's just all this open space. What are you afraid might happen with that open space? I mean, yes, I can tell that when you're kind of pre-paving it in the wrong way, you're pre-paving it like, oh my God, people will see and they'll call ambulances and all that kind of thing. But when you're actually in the midst of it, what's the fear that I'm so afraid of this open space. What's the fear that the open space is going to do to you or whatever?
I'm overexposed.
So, like being in a war zone?
I don't know. I've never been in a war zone, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I was kind of reaching for a thought, like you're exposed, so like you're going to be attacked.
No, I don't really have a fear that I'm going to be attacked because I'm pretty able to take care of myself if in the situation if that ever happened. But no, just. It's just, I don't know. It's an irrational fear.
Well, that's
it doesn't
the nature
have
of
any,
it.
It doesn't have any explanation. It doesn't have any, rationalization to it. It's just, it is what it is.
Well, and that's what fear is. Fear is irrational, but this is a particularly interesting kind of fear because normally we can say, okay, well, I'm afraid because I'm afraid of dogs attacking and biting me. We can make it a little bit more specific than that. And you can't find something like that, which is.
Nope, I can't pinpoint it.
A little frustrating in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can't even turn the irrational fear into something rational. I mean, that's not fun.
No, right. At least people with claustrophobia will say, I'll probably suffocate. Yeah, they have that.
They can point to something, right?
I don't have that.
I'm trying to think who it was. There was some comedian who was identifying some silly things to be afraid of. I think one of them was rectangles. I can't remember who it was, but I mean that's pretty silly.
I'm more afraid of rhombuses because they're not. They're doing their own thing. You know what I mean? Like they're off inside. I don't like it. No, everything's got to be even. It sets off my OCD. I don't like it.
Well, rhombus is a square that's falling over.
Right, exactly. It's like, get yourself together. Be a square. Be a rectangle. Be a square. Get it together.
Yes. This is definitely a case of termites getting into the walls and knocking the walls down.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, I'm not sure how much we're really helping, but I'm trying to delve into this anxiety issue a little bit here with you. Anxiety implies feeling anxious, And anxiousness it's like an anticipation of something happening. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm so anxious because that other shoe hasn't dropped, and it's going to drop any second now. Yeah. Right? That's kind of the feeling, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What would happen if that shoe actually dropped?
I think I would feel validated.
I told you that shoe was going to drop.
Exactly.
Didn't I say that? I was the first.
I'm always right. I'm always right. I knew it.
I mean, that's also an interesting way to kind of go at this kind of thing, is playing it out like the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario?
Oh, that's another issue I have. I always play out the worst case scenario.
Do you?
Yes, every situation. Like, let's say we hang up and you say, all right, I'm going to call you back in 5 minutes, and you don't call me back until like an hour later. That whole time, I think you're dead.
Okay.
I'm like, no, Walt had to have died because he would have called me back by now. So, and now I'm thinking of all the ways you could have died. What happened? Is Louise okay? Does she need help? Did someone break in? You know what I mean? And it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and it's, yeah.
Well, you are aware, of course, that even if we die, we never stop existing. We continue to exist anyway.
Well, that's all fantastic in the end, you know, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about, do I know his address to call 911? What's the protocol here? Am I calling 911 for no reason? Is he just eating dinner? Like, what's going on?
Okay, well, apparently that approach isn't going to work too well.
No. Not with this one. I'm not in control of my subconscious at all.
Well, you're not the only one, actually. I mean, you are aware. We all lack that control. Well, we're still working at it. You know, we're trying to gain
barely control of my conscience, let me tell you.
You and about 80% of the population, maybe more. I mean, it's pretty clear. You look at some of the dysfunctionalities that are out there, and there are a lot of people who, I mean, I'm not even sure they qualify as conscious, to be perfectly honest. I mean, who in their right conscious mind would do some of the things that get done on television, right? No. You got to be kidding me. That's the best you got. See, you made fun of me yesterday, right? You made fun of me because I don't watch much television. And you were saying, how on earth can you possibly do that? And my answer is really simple. Look how crazy the people are.
That's true. It's true.
I mean, they're just plain insane.
But it's their craziness that distracts me from my own. So it's a good thing.
Well, their craziness is also making them a ton of money. So there's something in it, I guess. You know? That's
true.
Maybe that's what we should be. Maybe that's the way to deal with anxiety. Maybe the way to deal with anxiety is to make yourself really crazy and get paid well for it.
If I could get paid for my anxiety, I would be a bagillionaire.
How big is that?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of zeros. More zeros than we can count.
Exactly.
Okay. And the answer to Shelley has a question, two questions actually. The first one, I know the answer is yes. She says you should get a seizure support dog. You already have that.
I have one. Yes. Yep. I have two.
You have two. That's true. That's right.
Yeah.
And she also asked, what happens? What happens when you're in a big space? And which is kind of the question I was asking earlier.
I just get overwhelmed. Like, I just feel like the space is too big. I'm so, like, I prefer to be in a claustrophobic situation than outside in the exposed air, and everything's just so big, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling of being exposed and raw, but it's weird because I'm not like that in real life. Like with my emotions and stuff, not like that at all. So it's not even like a secondary oh, you must feel like that and emotionally. I'm like, no, that's not how I am.
So like a really scary horror movie for you would be Attack of the Killer Petunias.
No, like, you know what would be a scary movie for me, even though it wasn't really a scary movie? Like the Blair Witch Project, because they were in the woods the whole time.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so, no. I need shelter.
Did that movie set you off?
No.
It didn't.
It was stupid. It was so stupid. I hated it.
I tried watching it, to be honest. I tried watching it
too,
for
but
about 5 minutes.
The shakiness of the camera, I didn't like it.
I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes I gave it, and nothing was happening.
Yeah, said, nothing happened the whole movie. It was so stupid.
This is really, what's the point? I don't get it.
And then they made a second one.
There's no accounting for taste.
No. If you have the money, let's waste it. Why not?
I don't quite get that one either. I'm not even sure how. I don't even know how I would relate to that. I mean, you said that would be an example of what would really scare you, but by the same token, when you watched the movie, it didn't scare you. So it makes me wonder: is that really what would scare you?
The Blair Witch didn't scare me, but being outside would have scared me.
I wonder how you present that on film.
They were running around in the woods the entire time, and that I wouldn't be okay in that situation. Like, forget about the whole witches hunting us thing.
So, if I'm trying to picture Alyx's worst horror film, it's Alyx just running around in the woods. Mm-hmm. That's it right there. Mm-hmm. Does anything else happen?
Nothing else has to happen. I'm already scared.
Yeah, well, that doesn't stop a horror filmmaker. You know, they don't want you to be scared. They want you to be scared and then scared on the next level, and then on the next level, and the next level. They
could dump anything they wanted on me, yeah, but I'm already at a heightened level of scaredness because I'm outside.
Okay, so anything beyond that would be just superfluous.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to scope out the parameters, so that's good.
Yeah.
At least I got that.
Yeah.
Oh, Shelley actually agrees with you. She says, being in the woods at night is legitimately scary. LOL, bears.
Bears. And that's why I will never go visit my friend in Alaska, because there's bears. I'm all set.
Well, then I can tell you a scary story.
Oh, let's tell it.
It was when I was in my early teens. My family did a lot of traveling around the country with tents, so camping essentially. Mm-hmm. And it was a way to see the country. And we got out to Yellowstone Park, stayed the night, mm-hmm. and while we were there overnight, a bear came up to our campsite and was sniffing around outside. Yeah. Mm-mm. Oh yeah, he did. He really did.
No, I believe you. I'm just disagreeing with me being in that situation. Yeah.
So, okay. We found another way to scare you outside. That's something, I guess.
Yep.
And he didn't do anything.
I mean, in that heightened sense of afraidness, a mosquito could set me off. So I was just like, I would hear the buzzing near my ear and be like, "No, I'm done."
I mean, all the bear really did was he's sniffing around for the food and finally figured out the food was in the car, and he couldn't get into the car, so he gave up and just went off to wherever he went next. You know? As
they do, yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't really much of a situation. But on the other hand, if he had really wanted to go after us, all we had between him and us was some canvas. So, I mean, it wasn't much of a defense barrier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true.
Camping is a scary situation for me.
We did have something else that was on our side. And this is kind of a sad, happy thing all at the same time. Because bears are like most animals. They have this like collective knowledge that their greatest predator is human. Right. So really the last thing they want to do is come near a human if they can help it. Or if they have to come near you, they'll come to a certain distance and that's about it. And unless they've got their young right next to them and feeling like their young are being attacked by you, they don't want to have anything to do with you. You know, so the bear was probably actually more scared than we were. I take it that doesn't really help your phobia at all, but it's something to keep in mind.
I mean,
anyway.
I'm not afraid of bears. I just rather not interact with them.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody else would want to either. I mean, they outweigh us 5-1, so, you know.
I think they're adorable.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are also people who think that too, and they get themselves in trouble. Oh, he's so cute, I want to go pet him.
Yeah, I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, I'm sure you aren't. It's like the people who are, you know, at the zoo and they take a selfie and fall into the pit with whatever the animal is and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Wake up. It's one thing to have an anxiety. It's another thing to create a new one for yourself.
Yes.
Which is what these people are doing. But anyway, that doesn't really help with. So, okay, back to anxiety. All right, so we've eliminated a few possibilities. We've eliminated the possibility of identifying how you would rationalize the fear, like, oh, I'm afraid of this, or I'm afraid of that. You know, I'm afraid of an open space. Okay, well, the open space is going to attack me. No, that doesn't work either. So you know, we don't really have a clear idea of what the fear is. That's always hard. If you can't identify what the fear is, you know,
exactly.
That makes it really hard to kind of uproot it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes you feel anxious. Can you describe anything else about the feeling?
I can describe my symptoms.
Okay.
So basically my heart starts racing. You have this sense of like you're having a heart attack. It's that type of feeling. So your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, my legs start shaking.
Your microphone turns off. Yeah, your microphone's definitely going. Oh, here we go.
I was getting a phone call. Anyway, So that's a problem when you podcast on your phone.
This is true. See, I thought this was just a symptom of being afraid of being outdoors. It was actually just the microphone. Oh, okay. Never mind.
When the panic attacks get really bad, I can hear my heartbeat in my ears.
Oh.
And yeah, that's intense because then you're like, oh my God, what is really going on with my body? Like, is this serious enough to go to the hospital? Like, what is going on? And then you feel stupid going to the hospital. They're like, you just had a panic attack. Like, take an Ativan and calm down. Right.
Have you? Boy, this is a hard question to ask because I'm trying to turn it into the positive. Have you ever envisioned feeling calm in a situation where you would normally have a panic attack?
I haven't, I don't think. I try to use self-talk. And so if I'm in this situation and I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. It's going to be fine. We're going to do 5 minutes. You know, I try to say things to myself like that. And it'll work for a little while, but I have a limit.
Well, that also has a reverse LOA effect going on there. Because what you're basically telling yourself is, I have to endure discomfort for the next 5 minutes. Right?
Well, I'm trying to say that, you know, it'll be fine because you're right. Okay.
That's really what's happening there. You're basically fueling the fire. Let's throw some gasoline onto this fear. I think you really need to just spend more time visualizing what it's like to feel calm and good outside.
Yeah.
Just, you know, like Shelley said, think about the birds and the flowers and the trees and the sky and the clouds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just get that into your head as a calm and enjoyable experience if you can even get there. But even if you can't get to enjoyable, at least get it to calm, you know, or climb the scale like Abraham says. I mean, if it makes you feel anxious, maybe higher up on the scale that you could say within your reach is, you know, irritable or maybe frustrated. It's not quite as bad as being afraid, you know? And then once you get to that point, you can visualize that far, then try to visualize, you know, maybe feeling hopeful about perhaps one day feeling good outside. And if you get to that point, maybe actually at that point climb to imagining what it's like to feel really, really good, you know, so kind of work your way up to it. But I'll bet you, if you spend more time on that, I'll bet you that'll give you a way to kind of break the pattern. Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you got a pattern built up, then you're not shaking the pattern.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have a sneaking suspicion the same thing is going on with your insomnia. They may even be related, I don't know. But you have a pattern built up. And so you're so used to that pattern that you can kind of tell yourself, I want to go to sleep now, but the pattern is there, and the pattern's saying, yeah, I'm not going to sleep, not happening.
Yeah. I've definitely caught myself on many a night saying, all right, it's past a certain time. Yep, I'm not sleeping tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And which means that, once again, you're reinforcing the thing that you don't want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just feel like that's where you got to go. You got to spend more time on what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, because you
right.
have this old, long-standing pattern established, and it's ingrained. It's subconscious. It's habitual. You've anchored it in about 25,000 ways. I mean, you got it nailed.
Yep.
So it's going to take a little bit to turn that around, but you can do it. You can do it. Just do it little pieces at a time. Like, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. Do you meditate? Is meditation part of your daily practice?
No, I can't focus.
Not meditating. Okay, so it's not meditating. What practices do you have? What do you do daily to help yourself get into a good place?
I dance.
Okay.
I turn on my Spotify playlist, and I like to boogie for at least 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to do it then. So when you're boogieing, while you're doing that, because you're feeling good when you're doing that, right? I mean, that's the whole point. So while you're feeling good, while you're doing it, while you're in the midst of boogieing around, imagine you're boogieing around outside and that it still feels good. And play with that. Play with that in your mind.
Yeah.
Maybe put on the sunglasses so you're blocking out the inside, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can focus on, okay, I'm doing this outside and I'm feeling really, really good. And you just keep doing it and you're building up that really, really, really good feeling. And you just keep going and going and going. And you're building it up and building it up and building it up and building it up. And then go to the mailbox and see what happens.
And then go to the mailbox.
Yeah. Or maybe not even the mailbox. Just step outside and see what happens. You don't have to go very far.
Yeah.
You probably know instantly.
Yeah.
But just, see what happens. See if it actually reduces the fear. It doesn't have to eliminate it. It just has to reduce it. If it reduces it, then you know you're on the right track. Because I have a feeling that's really what you need to do. You just need to reprogram.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? I mean,
reprogram.
Your subconscious mind has done a wonderful job of learning this other program.
Facts.
I mean, it's really good at it. You're probably better at it than anybody I know.
Well, that's saying something.
Well, it does say something, because what it really says is you're really good at programming. It's like somebody who had, I can't remember who I had this conversation with. I had a similar conversation with somebody, and they had gotten this one negative behavior pattern down pat, to the point where literally every time they tried to focus on the opposite, they were snapping right back to this behavior pattern. And it was like the perfect batting average, They were batting 1,000 going the wrong way. Well, just the fact that you're batting 1,000 shows, my God, you were saying you have trouble focusing? I disagree. You are really good at focusing. You're just focusing on the wrong thing. Your focusing skill is off the chart. I mean, you're right on it. You just gotta believe that you really do have that ability, because you do. I mean, it's evident. It's so obviously clear that you do have that ability to focus. You're just focusing on the wrong thing. You gotta believe in your own ability to focus more than anything else. Because it's not like you lack the ability. You got the ability. You just gotta believe it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So that's where, I just start with like the basic visualization stuff. Tie it in with your boogieing, because that's a good daily process to have. Just do that every single day. And the other thing I would do if I were you is I would try to find other processes. Just try a bunch of them. Of the processes you've heard about. If you have a copy of the Abraham book, Ask As Given, they got like 22 of them in the back that you can just try one at a time and see which one you like.
Okay.
Listen to the podcast that Steve Rawl and I did yesterday morning about microshifting, and try practicing some microshifting. But I mean, there's lots of them you can do. I do the mirror exercises every day; those are really good for me. Meditation, I had trouble with meditation too, although I've gotten a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
But you just do as many of them as you can every day, as you can kind of remember to do. And when you even if you're only doing them for like 10 seconds, fine. Okay, you only got 10 seconds in. You got your 10 seconds in for the day. Now do it again tomorrow.
Right.
And do 12 seconds tomorrow. Like just do a little bit better every day, and just keep. It's the repetition. It's repeated behavior that you're looking for.
Yes.
Because that repetition of focusing on the stuff that you really want, even if it's like little tiny amounts that you're doing, just by establishing that habit, you are now using your focus to point where you really want to go. And if you do that, if you stick with that kind of approach for like a 30-day program or something, I think you're going to produce some results that are going to blow your psychiatrist's socks off. I think you'll surprise yourself at what you end up doing.
Yeah.
And it won't happen right away necessarily. I mean,
you were right.
When I did the mirror exercises, when I first started them, I did them because I wanted to get that negative chatter out of the head. You know, that constant, radio DJ that keeps talking about all that crappy stuff you don't want to hear. I wanted to shut him up. Yeah, I wanted to shut him up. And so I'd heard Jack Canfield had used the mirror exercises to shut him up. So I figured, okay, I'm willing to try that for 30 days just to see if I can shut him up. And for the first 20 days, nothing happened. The DJ was just as loud as ever. But by day 25, he was at half volume. And by day 30, he had shut up. I mean, I could still sense him in the background going, but nothing was coming out.
Yeah.
And it really did work. And I was kind of blown away by, like, wow, not only did it work, you know what really caught my attention? I think I've told you this before. After the 30 days, it was quiet. It was just quiet. It was nice. Like I was going through my day and there was no chatter going on in my head. It was just quiet. Wow. Is this the way a healthy mind is supposed to work? Just quiet? I like this. It's like the lead protagonist in the movie The Rocketeer, after his first time with the rocket strapped to his back. He comes to a stop and he takes his helmet off and he says, "I like it."
That was a good movie.
And I know exactly what he means. Like, yeah, that felt great. I like that. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
How about that one again? So, yeah, get some daily processes going. At the very least, do your boogieing. That's a great one because you got exercise going, and you got the direct stimulation of endorphins and the serotonin and dopamine and all that kind of thing, because that's what dance does. Dance is wonderful for that. So get that going, but don't just stop there is what I'm saying. Do that every day and find one other activity, one other positive activity to do every day, and just keep doing them every single day and see what happens. Keep like a calendar. Okay, you're starting on April 1st or today's date, March 27th, and see what happens by April 27th.
Okay.
Good idea.
All right.
And then report back to us and we'll do another show on anxiety.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. That sounds good. Hey, before we go, I want to remind everybody, we got a couple minutes left. If you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please become one. You never know what kind of fabulous advice you're going to get with each and every episode that we put out. So just go to the homepage, loatoday.net, and we've set it up now so that it detects what kind of device you have, shows you the click here icon for that device. You click it. It walks you through the process step by step, and when you're all done, you're a subscriber. Congratulations. And then, of course, make sure that you're sharing on social media the fact that you are subscribing, that you're enjoying it, so that other people can find out about their daily dose of happy as well. So let's see. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left. You were relating to me and to, I think to Bill yesterday, that you're so depressed because your favorite show, Supernatural, they announced that the last season's coming out.
Why did you have to open the wound?
Well, because I wanted to ask you about what's going on with your podcast, because you do a podcast. Let's see, do I remember what the title is? Spoiler alert? Is that what it is?
Yes. That's it.
Spoiler alert. So have you done your spoiler alert on Supernatural, or is that something that's still too painful to look at?
I did do a Rest in Peace Team Free Will episode.
Okay.
I'm also inviting people from different TV show groups on Facebook that I'm in to join me as guest hosts for an episode or two, so
cool.
I put that out there. Yeah, that was the creative idea I came up with after I got that good night of sleep. So you can thank Bill for that.
Excellent. Okay. That's good. Good stuff. All right. Any responses yet?
Yes, I have one person who wants to come on and talk about Supernatural, especially, with the impending doom of our show.
Oh.
So, yeah. So they were like, yeah, but I'm going to Supernatural Con in Vegas this weekend, but I'll be back on Wednesday and I'll be happy to do it then. And I'm like, okay, that sounds fine.
Very good. Hey, you're on your way. You're going to be doing your own you're going to have your own crew of co-hosts like I do. That's going to be good.
Do all that, but I'll have a couple, special episodes like this episode is just about Grey's Anatomy, or this episode's just about Supernatural.
Okay. Yeah, so that works. Hey, I was only doing this podcast once a week, and I had one co-host for like 4 or 5 years, so,
Yeah.
You just go at the pace that makes sense.
Exactly. But co-hosts do make the show better, so it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole lot fun. Whole lot funner? Yeah, whole lot funner. That's what it is.
Whole lot more fun.
There it is. And remind people how they can find out about Spoiler Alert, too. Where do they
Spoiler Alert, you can find me on Google Podcasts. You can find me on Anchor.fm, or you can also find me on Spotify.
Ah, there we go. All right. Got it nailed. Good stuff. Well, thank you for bringing up the topic. Thank you to our live streamers, especially Shelly. Shelly, you should have dropped down to the show. Shared some of your insights. You're pretty good at diagnosing this kind of stuff. But that's right. We'll catch you the next time that you're on. That's no big deal. Now, there's one other note I should bring up. You and I are still working on the script for the podcast, the fiction podcast that we're creating. The Grass is Greener.
Yeah.
And we kind of mutually decided that's not something we want to do right now as part of these podcasts, just because we just have to write some script. But, and the reason I'm mentioning this, but we're hoping to get the script done, if we're lucky, this week. That would be really great.
Yeah.
Or at least have a first draft done, and then I'll run it by my sister, and we'll have other people look at it and so forth. But that means that let's assume, for the sake of discussion, that we have a script for a first episode ready in 10 days or something like that. Yeah. That means we're going to be at the point where we need to start doing some casting. So I'm mentioning this just in case any of our listeners have thought to themselves, I would always like to do that. Start reaching out to us. I mean, we'll do a formal cattle call, as they call it. We'll do a formal casting call to invite people to become members of the cast that we're going to put together. But I figured, why not put the seed into the subconscious minds of our listeners? There
you go.
Because there might be a budding Nance or a budding Lana or a Miguel or an MJ out there just waiting to be discovered.
Yep.
You never know.
We're out here looking for you.
We are indeed. And you also indicated to me you're still interested in perhaps being like the coach or the therapist or something like that in the show.
Yeah, something like that. One of those. I'll take one of those.
Well, you've got plenty of experience with anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like you don't have the experience to be able to play that kind of a role. All you have to do is just kind of channel your last psychiatrist or something.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So thank you to you. Thank you to our live stream audience. This afternoon it'll be Cindy Chavez and I. It's Neville Day, so we're going to be talking about Neville Goddard, and we're currently on chapter 14, I think it is, of Your Faith is Your Fortune, so you don't want to miss that. Thank you to our podcast audience as well, and we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.